Hey guys, as you can tell from the title of this video, I'll be sharing with you how to pick your A-levels. I know picking your A-levels can be a super daunting time. Not sure if you pick some certain A-levels, if it can even get you into university or not. I'll be covering all of that in today's video. I even have timestamps included for you guys on the timeline and in the description box down below, so you can go ahead and skip to whichever part is better suited for you. However, I highly recommend you watch the entire video, as at some point I will be dropping my story on how I picked my A-levels and the mistakes I made, so you don't have to make them. If you're new here, hi, I am student Tonya. I make videos based on studying and student lifestyle. If you like that sort of content, then be sure to hit the subscribe button down below, and without further ado, let's get on to the video. But first of all, I'll be giving tips for people who have no idea what they want to do in the future, not even knowing what career path they want to go down, or not even knowing if they want to go into university or take an apprenticeship. So I honestly highly recommend that you take facilitating subjects, at least two. Facilitated subjects are certain subjects that universities do look at, and some require you that you need to even get into university, depending what course you want to do. But again, like I said, this is for people who have no idea what they want to do in the future. So I'll have some facilitating subjects on the screen, so you can maybe consider taking these. So picking random subjects I don't think is really ideal, especially not knowing where you want to go. Maybe a year on later, you probably figure out, oh, this is what I finally want to do, but because you've picked those certain A-levels, you can't really do whatever it is that you thought of wanting to do. So this is just an example. You don't have to pick these certain A-levels, but like I said, I'll just be telling you these A-levels just an example. But picking something like English, literature and history, those two link together in terms of they have a lot of essay writing that you have to do. So these subjects can kind of like help each other. And then picking psychology and biology, those two are sciences. At least psychology is a social science, so there will be some things that could be similar as they kind of fit into the science. So altogether, having English lit, history, biology and psychology, they fit together, especially if you have no idea, not these specific A-levels, but if you kind of see what I'm getting at in terms of similarity and the type of things you have to do, is really great to pick similar subjects. Another thing to consider but not heavily rely on is what subjects were you good at GCSE? Were there subjects that you absolutely loved, subjects that you just fully understood and you are reconsidering taking on to A-level? You should consider that. However, it's really important to know that whatever you did at GCSE is going to be a completely different story in A-levels. In terms of the workload, the amount of contents that are in these subjects, it can be a lot. So this is just something just to kind of fuel your ideas on what you want to pick, but it's not something to heavily rely on. My last tip for people who have no idea on what A-levels to pick is to do your research. So like I mentioned earlier, if there were certain subjects that you really enjoyed at GCSE or you liked, then you should definitely consider doing that. However, you really should do research on the type of things that you would actually be doing in these A-levels. At least for me, I was able to attend induction sessions. Unfortunately, it had to be online due to the pandemic, but definitely if you can, go ahead and ask your teachers, whatever subject they teach, on what the course is like, what will you be studying, as this is really important so you have a feel on what exactly the A-level experience for you is going to be like. And within doing your research, it's really important to see what part of it is exam-based and what parts of it is coursework-based, as some people work better doing exams and some people will work better doing coursework. So it's all about what is better suited for you. So those are my tips for people who are not sure what they want to do in A-levels. Next will be for people who have a slight idea on what they want to do in the future. So you have an idea on what field you want to go in, whether that's going down the medical field or going down the business route. So my first tip would be to look at the common A-levels that people take within the field that you want to go in. For this, I'll be using medical field as an example, as I'm not too sure about other fields and I don't want to give any information or false information about other fields. So the common A-levels that are taken for medicine is biology, chemistry, and maths or psychology. Those are the common A-levels. Now, just because those are the A-levels that most people pick, doesn't mean you have to pick those certain A-levels. This is where you do further research to see if there are other options that you can take but still go down that field. The next thing you want to do is specify. So within the medical field, there are so many different degrees that you can take. You can do biochemistry, you can just take up a straight up biology degree or a chemistry degree. There are so many things that you can do. But again, these are for people who know what field they want to go in but don't know the exact degree that they want to do. Like I mentioned, there are so many degrees. You at least want to kind of do maybe a short list on the degrees and see what is required, and see, like I mentioned about specifying, you want to look at the degrees that are offered within that field and maybe do a short list and see if there is a common trend of A-levels that they require for all of these degrees, and you want to be able to pick. So once you've rounded up the common A-levels that are taken within that certain field, you then want to do some slight research on universities. As some universities, they can have an exception to maybe not do that certain A-level and do an alternative one, and there are so many different pathways to what you want to do, but it might take a bit longer. So if you stayed up for this part of the video, I'll be sharing with you on my A-level picking experience and the mistake I made so you don't have to. Okay, so initially I knew that I wanted to be able to do medicine, and looking at the requirements, this kind of kicked in later on that I did need 3 A-levels. However, I kind of was oblivious to this and I just wanted to pick what I wanted to do, especially when you hear a lot of people saying, you should pick what you love, you should pick you enjoy. However, they do have extents, that statement of picking what you love and enjoy. So initially I chose biology, chemistry, English literature and then single media. However, I knew that English literature, I loved it, but I had to drop it. It's because personally for me, I just thought it was too much along with biology and chemistry, so I dropped that. And also for my single media, I didn't really like the course, and there was an option to do double media, which was more hands-on with the cameras, messing around with different lenses and actually doing more creative projects. And double media equivalates to 2 A-levels. So initially I dropped English, switched to double media. So that meant I was now doing biology, chemistry and double media. So I know those are 3 subjects, but like I mentioned, double media is equivalent to 2 A-levels. So technically I was doing 4 A-levels at the time. And what really had me baffled now knowing this was that because I had that double media equivalated to 2 A-levels, I literally thought I'm basically doing 2 A-levels, so I should be able to get into medicine. Not only that, I really love the media so much because of the sort of projects we do. Right now, I'm currently filming a music video, but I know I dropped double media on. I'll explain that at some point in this video or either on my Instagram stories, so check out for that if you really want to wonder how am I doing this. So right now for media, I'm currently shooting a music video. I know I just said I dropped double media, but I will explain all of that over on my Instagram. So if you want to figure out how am I still doing 3 A-levels and media on the side even though I dropped it, stay tuned for that. But like I said, so you get to do so much fun stuff, and naturally I'm visually creative. I'm a very visually creative person and I don't want to lose that, and in order to do something and get better at it, you'll have to practice. And for me, this was the only place I could think of where I can actually get hands-on experience with a camera and actually editing videos and doing a bunch of other stuff, because I'm definitely not going to do this in university. As I mentioned, I wanted to go down the medicine route. So initially I was torn on doing what I loved and doing medicine, and I was so oblivious to the fact that what I was doing would not even get me into medicine in the first place, which I kind of wish I knew sooner. But like I said, I guess I was kind of like clouded by my judgment kind of thing. The point is, because I heard it equivalated to 2 A-levels, like I mentioned, I literally thought I was doing 2 A-levels, but it is a BTEC. So this took me so long to clock on, literally. Like I think like it's been like 2 weeks ago, I literally realized, well, like, oh my goodness, I wouldn't even be able to do medicine if I even wanted to. So that meant that I had to switch. I'm so lucky that I was able to switch, because like this late, like what, it's like December now, I had my first lesson of the A-level that I am now currently doing. So I dropped double media so I can do A-level graphics. It was the last option. There were plenty of other A-levels, but it just did not fit in my timetable. And even if I wanted to do those other A-levels, that meant I had to switch schools, and it was just such a long process, as I'm content with my biology and chemistry being at another school. If you guys didn't know, that my school is connected to 3 schools, so if I mentioned that I'm doing my subjects at a different school, that's not because I moved separate schools, it's just because my school is connected to 3 other schools, like I mentioned. And all of this confusion just because I didn't do thorough research, or I didn't ask enough teachers about what I was doing, all because of that. And now I literally kind of have a whole term worth of work to catch up on, but luckily I am starting on the current project that we're doing in graphics, so I don't have to do last term's work, if that makes sense. So yes, that is my story. So moral of the story, do your research, which is why I'm making this video for you guys. I highly encourage that you do your research. I've even mentioned the links down below that you can go ahead and check out, so you can do even further research on the A-levels that you want to pick. Don't gamble and pick random A-levels, because if you do that, it is guaranteed that you won't even be able to do the degree that you want. My last tip is to don't pick random A-levels. Like I mentioned, do your research on what A-levels to pick, and then go from there. And to kind of think of doing A-levels or an A-level subject because you enjoy it or you love it, let me just tell you something. Newsflash, honey, A-levels aren't supposed to be enjoyable. Like, it's going to be the most intense 2 years of your life, and it's even harder than university. This is not to put people off, but I'm just giving you straight facts, honestly. I mean, in my Q&A, I was kind of complaining how people were like saying how, you know, A-levels are like so hard, like you're not gonna like them, as if they wanted me to drop out sixth form. But it is the reality. And yes, you can pick subjects that you like for me, like I mentioned, I picked double media because I loved it so much, but I had to drop it for the career path that I was going, and it was really hard to do, but it had to be done. So it's better that you do that sooner rather than later and kind of like mess up. And the fact that I even got to swap is honestly insane. I'm so glad that I could, because if I couldn't swap, then that meant that I had to go down a different career route, or there's other paths you can go through to do medicine, but it's so long, like it really is, and I don't want to kind of like ruin that, if that makes sense. So moving on to people who know exactly what job that they want to do in the future, you are in a good position, and it's really great that you do know this. I know not everyone knows what they want to do in the future, but having something in mind and you know you definitely want to do, that is super great. So for people like this, it is a no-brainer to pick the A-levels that are required for the certain job. Like I mentioned, don't kind of jeopardize the opportunity to do this certain job just because you enjoy a certain A-level. Just pick the A-level. You'll make your life so much easier. Just do it. And because you know exactly what you want to do, it's really great because you can go a step ahead and do other things that you need to do in order to get into university. So you can go a step further. So you can think about your personal statement, which is something you do in year 13, but I don't know how hectic year 13 is going to be because I'm currently in year 12, but I'm pretty guessing it's going to be super hectic, especially with the mock exams you have to do. So honestly, it's kind of better to get things out of the way. So you could even be working on this now. Like, there's no harm of doing something earlier than later. So obviously the things that you'll put on your CV, so if you've done any volunteer to certain places, those are things that you can put towards your application to university. So introducing a website called Unifrog, which is what I use. It was the first thing which I was introduced to as soon as I entered sixth form. It is this platform which helps you to apply to university. Literally everything from a personal statement to the things that you have done. Like I mentioned, passions such as volunteering outside of school or wherever that you could think of, you can put it all in one place. It doesn't have to be messy and all over the place. And that is what I love about Unifrog. Not only this, but for people who have no idea, there are quizzes and certain things that you can complete so you can have a rough idea on what you want to do. There's a personality quiz, which I absolutely loved, which could figure out the type of job you're better suited to, whether you like working in groups or not, or whether you like working with your hands. Like someone who loves to work with their hands and wants to go to the medical field, surgery will probably be an option. This is just an example, which I love. However, I'm not too sure how you can access Unifrog, whether you need to use a school email, as that is what I use, or whether your school has to sign up to that first. However, I will link it down below, and you could even ask your schools if you would like to, if this is something that you can log on to or something that you could use. And for you guys to know what you're doing, you can even take a look at increasing UCAS points, because the more points, the better, honestly. You can look at specific universities that you want to apply to, even do like a short list. Maybe you're not sure on exactly what university you want to go in, but if you want to go that step further, which I do recommend if you want to, is because it is so much better being prepared and doing things earlier than thinking about it later. Is because year 12, I mean, it is, and so far it is an experience. Like, I don't mind it, but the work and, you know, it's a lot. Along with thinking about university, I'll honestly just do it sooner than later. So now here are some bonus tips that you need to know. So if there's a certain part of a module that you do not like in a course, please don't let that put you off. Honestly, just don't let it put you off. It's because, like I mentioned, A-levels, they're not supposed to be enjoyable. You're supposed to do it so you can do the job you want to do. Okay, I don't want to kind of say that they're like the worst thing ever, but it's not supposed to be fun, if that makes any sense. This was me when picking biology. There was one part of the module that put me off, which was plant biology. I honestly just think that plant biology is just so irrelevant. Like, I just wanted to learn about human biology, not about plants. But it's something that I have to do, and especially going down the medicine route and I have a certain job in mind, that is a requirement. Like, it's a no-brainer to pick biology. Looking back now that I had that mindset, like, I am not doing biology just because there's a plant module, it is kind of like hideous. Like, really, you're really just gonna drop a whole subject just because you don't like a module. So yes, please don't let that put you off. And my last tip is that don't underestimate the little things, such as speaking to your teacher about your career path or the subjects that you want to take, as it can really help. I really wish that I did speak to my head of sixth form sooner than later, like I mentioned how I switched. You could even speak to people who are in year 13 now and ask them about the course. However, don't let their judgment on the course dictate whether you pick it or not, as everyone's experience is going to be different. Some people might hate the subject, some people might like the subject, so don't take that on board too much. However, the questions that you should be asking students who are in year 13 are questions such as, what is it like in lessons? Is it just PowerPoint based? Is it more discussion based? Like, what is it like? Like I mentioned, speaking to your teachers can be very helpful. Get as much information as possible on a certain course. However, teachers can influence your choices, but it's up to you at the end of the day. It's you who makes the final decision on what A-levels you want to pick. So that comes to the end of this video. If you guys enjoyed this video or at least found it helpful, give this video a big thumbs up, as it really helps out with my channel, as YouTube puts my video more out there to help as much people as possible like yourselves. So the thumbs up will be very much appreciated. Don't forget to share this video to anyone who is going into sixth form or considering it, or to anyone who is struggling on what A-levels to pick. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram, as I post a bunch of content on there that you won't be seeing on this channel. I don't want you guys to miss out, so the link will be in the description box down below. Also, links to any other helpful resources will be linked down below too. And lastly, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more helpful content like this, as well as studying and student lifestyle content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!